I'm a delivery driver that finds trash on my route to flip for money, and this is my favorite trash pile. The first thing I do, regardless of whether it looks clean or not, is to pull out all of the drawers and check for creepy crawlies. This one passed the test.
Oops, I did it again.
Now let's take it home and stack some stuff on top of it.
Heavier than they look.
If stacking furniture were an Olympic event, Simone Biles and I would have matching medals.
Got a work cut out for us on this one.
So obviously we have some damage. There's a crack here that will need to be glued and clamped. There's scratches, some of them pretty deep, where I loaded it up by myself and damaged the out of the top. And then there's like some weird glue or something over here. We'll have to sand that down. This veneer is in sad, flappy condition, like literally. And then down at the bottom, it looks like my cousin's teeth back in the day. It's just missing, just like his were. I shouldn't say that. Oh, whatever. I'm gonna truck on. There's missing molding. And then this is where I drug it across the parking lot by myself, so we'll have to sand that down. I did not do that, however. That was already there. It was just a big old hole in the side. And who the heck even knows what that is? We're gonna remove all of this veneer that's chipped or peeling completely off, and we'll make better decisions later on. The veneer on these two drawers, these two really big drawers, actually looks pretty good. So I'm gonna take them out because they make this beast super heavy. And I'm just gonna put them to the side for now. The missing veneer on the front is a little difficult to get to, so I'm gonna grab my wonderful, beautiful furniture dollies, and I'm gonna flip this beast over onto its back. Just like that. It's just going to make it a lot easier to chisel off all of the veneer because some of it's stuck really good, some of it's coming off really easy. So it's just going to help me get in a better position to just take out my full-on aggression. I'm just using a chisel and a hammer here, but you could also, if it's really stuck on good, you could also get a heat gun and loosen the glue up underneath before going at it. But this is coming up pretty easy. So while I still have it turned over, I'm going to go ahead, even though I don't know what I'm going to do with this part at this point in time, and sand it. Anything I do after this is going to require this to be clean and smooth. So let's just go ahead and knock that out of the way. I'm using my palm sander with a 120 grit sandpaper. So I'm sure all of y'all are smart enough to take the drawers out before you flip your furniture over onto its backside. But just in case you aren't, go ahead and grab a screwdriver, stick it in one of the hardware holes, and pull that booger out. And same as with the veneer on the front. I don't know what I'm doing with these drawer fronts, but I know that the next step, they'll have to be smooth. So let's go ahead and knock that out with the palm sander and again, the 120 sandpaper. I just keep seeing deep scratches all over the place on the front. I'm trying to be super gentle though, because if you go too hard on a rounded edge like this, you will flatten it and then it will look funny. So this is a real challenge for me. But now for the most satisfying part of the job, and that is vacuuming up all of this broken veneer and the occasional cobweb with my shop vac. Like, seriously, it's my favorite. For those of you friends who already have a furniture business, or you're thinking of getting started in the furniture business, or you just lift heavy stuff a lot, I highly recommend these 3-wheel dollies. I will link them below. They have saved, I got back issues, y'all, and these have saved my back. I don't mess with furniture without them. I've been asked on multiple occasions why I use stripper and then also sand. And the answer is it just cuts down on the amount of sanding that I have to do. It'll cut through about 1 or 2 layers. It's the difference between sanding for an hour and sanding for 20 minutes. And I don't like to sand. Now, the secret to successful wood stripping, see how I worded that, is to use plastic wrap because it will dry out in most climates. If you're lucky enough to have a climate where you can just put it on and it's going to stay steamy, then you're probably really tan. But in my climate here in Texas, even though it is very humid, the stripper's going to dry out, and putting plastic wrap over that slows the process down, keeps it really good, and because once it's dry, it won't scrape off, and that'll be something else that you'll have to take care of. I'll share another quick tip that I learned the hard way. Roll your plastic underhanded instead of overhanded, kind of like toilet paper, because it's just easier. Just trust me.
Almost made it.
Famous last words. I won't get any on me.
Today's episode of Bondo is brought to you by Milano's Pizza.
Bondo is a two-part process that I use on the majority of my furniture when it needs some form of repair. It comes in basically a paint can that you need a paint can opener. To open the lid on, you can use a little spatula like I have here, or a flathead screwdriver also works. The trick to it is working in small sections. Even if you have a large repair job, work in small sections because it tends to dry really quickly. The second part of it is the hardener, and you want to make sure you put enough hardener in there for it to actually harden. If there's not enough in it, it will just remain in a putty-like consistency and won't do what you need it to. Stir it up really, really good until both parts are mixed together. Work quickly because, again, it will dry very quickly. And then apply liberally to whatever it is you're repairing. There is nothing on the other side of this veneer, so I've got painter's tape to keep it from seeping inside. Ew, that's the gross word. Yuck.
A lot of people will use their carbide scraper. A lot of people will use their carbide scraper for this. I like to use my big ass scraper for this. Yes, I realize my sweatshirt is way too cute to be doing this job in it, but here we are.
I feel like this is an excellent time to acknowledge the fact that I have not worn gloves through any of this chemical process, and that is wrong. I should absolutely be wearing gloves. I just wanted you to know that I realize that. I just sometimes do things I'm not supposed to do. Happens to the best of us.
I should have planned this better.
If you also noticed that I was not wearing gloves and you were concerned, would you leave me some clapping hand emojis in the comment section?
Look at me putting on gloves like I'm supposed to.
Paint thinner is the trick to neutralizing the stripper that's still left after scraping. I use a quadruple steel wool and I rub it in until I get all of it gone. And then, I mean, if there's a lot of excess, maybe I'll wipe it with a rag that I then throw away. But for the most part, I don't pour a whole lot on there. You'll see me pour it in the middle and I'll work it around all four corners. And that's generally pretty good.
Wouldn't this be pretty in blue?
These are sandpaper molds that I'll link below. They make it a lot easier when you have some sort of decorative trim or edging on your pieces. They have basically an innie and an outie is what I kind of like to say. Like each side, one is for the innie and one is for the outie. Like that's the only way I know how to describe them. But they worked really well on this piece. They have several different sizes. So you pick the one that works, you wrap your sandpaper around it and just go to town. Now to take care of that super annoying hole. So here's what we have sanded so far. And now it's time to sand everything else. And sand. And sand. And sand some more. Polish off with your beverage of choice, of course. I'll finish off everything that I've sanded with my hand sander using a high grit sandpaper like a 220 to knock down all those crazy mad fibers from using the lower grit sandpaper to take off the finish. And I chose not to use stripper on the drawers because the finish was already completely broken up. There wasn't much to sand off, so I didn't feel like it was a necessary step in this one instance. Now here's the crack in the wood that we still have to contend with. It's a really skinny crack, therefore I can't pry it open, so the way I'll get glue in there is to use this little razor and just kind of work it in the best way that I can to get that glue into that little tiny crack. It's always pretty important to wipe off the glue after you've used it. If you wait until it dries, then you're going to have to come in and sand it off and it gets gummy and it's really gross. So get yourself a wet lint-free cloth and wipe off any residual from the glue. Then clamp, then wipe off the glue because some's going to squeeze out. If you've done a good job putting the glue into the crack, when you clamp it, it's going to squeeze glue out as you see happening here. It's always a really good idea to read the instructions on the bottle of glue that you have, but as a rule of thumb, I like to let things sit for at least 24 hours before taking the clamp off and doing anything else to it.
How can you tell that something's gonna bleed? Assume if it's red, it's gonna be a screaming bleeder. This one, it's gonna bleed, I can tell you. So we're gonna shellac-a-lack it. There are lots of blocking primers that you can paint on. I am a heavy-handed painter and I have a hard time getting them smooth. This is $12. So it's not necessarily money conscious, but it's easier for me. It's something I'm willing to pay for to make something smooth. Thank goodness I got clear. That would have pissed me off. I don't know that it comes in colors, but that would have sucked. Actually, I don't guess it would have been that bad because I'm going to paint over it. So, okay.
Even though I don't quite have a vision yet for this whole piece, I know that gray is a safe color. It is a quick selling color in my area, so I'm going to just start painting and hope that something comes to me.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, and yes, it is hurting my brain. Because I know I want to stain the drawer something, but I don't know what. I could do 50-50 paint water mix stain so that they would look similar to the paint. I could go brown, I could go red, I could go white. I could even go gray, but it wouldn't be the same color gray as it's painted. So.
Ultimately, I decided to do a paint wash using the same color that I painted the piece in. I'm just going to add water and use it as a stain on the front of the drawers and cross my fingers.
That's per usual. What do we think? I don't know, can I dig it? We're gonna go with it. Well, we were not wrong about this being a screamin' bleeder. I had 2 coats of shellac, 2 coats of paint. Now I've shellacked it for the 3rd time
And this paint is good coverage. This is no joke paint. It's covered really well on the other side.
So we're going to give it a third coat of paint after the third coat of shellac. If that doesn't work, we're going to paint it black.
So I know some of you are going to ask, why are you spraying a clear coat on instead of painting a clear coat on? And I really don't have an answer for you. I think it's because I don't want to brush clear coat in these moldings because, like I said, I'm a heavy-handed painter. I would like to not be a heavy-handed painter, but here we are. And I always catch clear coat up in the moldings, and it gives the little yellow droplets and whatever. Spraying it is safer for me. It's easier for me. So that's what I'm doing in this instance. Am I going to do it on the next piece? I could not even tell you, but that's what I chose to do here.
By the way, shellacking that did work that third time around. The directions only say to leave it for 1 hour. I left it for a full day. So, I don't know. But maybe if you're having trouble with the piece and it's consistently bleeding on you, maybe shellac it and leave it for a day. Because that worked in this instance.
And again, the question begs to be asked, why are you painting clear coat on the drawers? And my only answer to you is that it is a flat, easy surface. And I'm all about the easy. Like, I want to do a good job, but at the same time, I want to make it easier on myself. And I think because these are flat, that's why I feel it's easier to paint with a paintbrush the top coat on.
Of course, straight away I have hair in it.
To my fellow long-haired girls and guys, it's a good idea to put up it's like working with food. Like, I guarantee you're going to be dropping hairs in your clear coat. So put it back. Like, no stragglers.
I'll be doing multiple coats of this, sanding in between each coat to assure a spotless and smooth finish. Just like the transition between my American accent and my British one, and also my English one. Spotless.
Just to clarify, this is a joke meant to make you laugh. Please laugh. It helps with glowing skin and digestion. Why wouldn't you laugh? Now, I have no idea how old this piece is, but it feels like there's a little bit of age to it. If you know, please tell me in the comments how old this piece is or if you know anything about it. But the drawers are really thirsty. They're in great condition, but the wood is dry. And in that instance, I like to use this furniture wax, which makes it all nice and bright and shiny. It revitalizes the wood. It protects it. It is a sealer. Did I mention it smells really good? You can really tell a difference on how shiny the wood looks. So I realize the two-tone doesn't work for everybody, and that's totally cool. We all have our things, right? But I do feel like I can tie it in together with the paint just a little bit better by adding some brown wax. So I have clear coated, remember, with the spray on the paint. So it's going to seal off the porousness of the chalk paint that I used, therefore making the brown wax more controllable. I can wipe it back with a lint-free cloth, or if I have some troublesome spots, even a baby wipe will work really well. But it's just going to kind of grunge up that paint a little bit to where it brings in the brown tones of the wood. Now, I will be the first to admit that I threw an all-out toddler, haven't had a nap fit trying to get this hardware together. I struggled with it so long that I actually did an instructional video for Amazon once I finally figured it out after I about pulled all my hair out. Anyway, it's on there now, and I'm not taking it back off. So I hope you like it. I know this piece is different, but as I always say, how boring would life be if everybody was one and done? Embrace the different things in life. Find something that you love about this piece or that you love about this video and tell me about it in the comments. I challenge you. And while you're at it, I challenge you to find joy. I challenge you to make someone smile today. I challenge you to take a bad situation and either learn something from it or make it an awesome opportunity. Because anybody can be a jerk and anybody can paint something white. But what positive change are you capable of? Play hard. Peace out.